Hello, Namaskar viewers. I am Sanjeev Pandya welcoming you to the weekly edition of the Business Talk with AJ right here on your favorite TV channel. That's ITV Gold. Happy to be with you. We continue to bring you all the latest that you need to know from the world of business. That's a world of business, US as well as the global business news stories in this weekly show, courtesy of Science CPS Services, a complete accounting firm who knows how to do the taxes right, and accounting and bookkeeping and payroll services completely accurate. And that's why they have a large clientele in the USA. They are based in the state of New Jersey with multiple locations and on phone, Zoom, in-person consultation available. You can reach them at 908-380-6876 or visit them sciencecpsservices.com. Every week in this show, the Business Talk with AJ, joins with me is Mr. AJ of Science CPS Services. Happy to see you, sir. How are you?
Thank you, Sanjeevji. Looking forward to the next show.
Yes, absolutely. All right, let's move on. Business stories. And we always start business stories with the stock market update. Even though we know stock market is very volatile, one day it's up and the next day it's down, down big time, and then it goes up and so on and so forth. It continues. But does it tell you anything how the year is going to end up?
Well, it does and it does not. So one thing we know for sure, that the stock market is behaving radical. It's not consistent. It's not going up. At the same time, it's not going down either. So if you are not a savvy investor, if you don't really know what you're doing, stay away from the stock market. This is what our advice is.
Okay.
So for the last 5 days, we saw the stock market going down every day. Then suddenly two companies presented the good third quarter result, and a lot of it depends on the fourth quarter or the yearly results that we have. We know unemployment is high. We know a lot of people are struggling with the cash. We know winters is coming. So in the winter, we see stock market going down slightly anyway, Sanjeevji.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's going to be a tough ride for the next foreseeable future.
All right, so we'll continue to bring updates. Now, you say that obviously we're in recession and money situation and whatnot. When it comes to money, and if you really associate money part with soccer players, and of course FIFA is currently going very, very strong. We're now into the quarterfinal stage, which will be followed by semi-final and a final, which is scheduled to take place on December 18th, Sunday, the December 18th. One of these star players in this football World Cup, and of course in the world of soccer, is Cristiano Ronaldo, who actually cut ties with Manchester England team just about couple of weeks ago, right?
Yep.
Exactly when the FIFA World Cup started. But now the news is that he's going to sign up with one of Saudi Arabia's club with a big money.
I heard that. So Saudi Arabia has this club, Al Nassr. The news is, and it's not official yet, the news is they are giving £200 million to Cristiano Ronaldo, which equal to $210 million per year. That's a huge amount. And you have to remember, Cristiano Ronaldo is not a young man. He's 37 years old. And if you look at the performance, it is sketchy. He's not the star that he used to be at one point of time.
Yeah.
And getting $210 million per year. And just remember, his last year's income in total, including all the advertisement, was $115 million. So this new contract will bring his total income more than twice compared to prior year. So soccer, cricket, football, all of these games brings a lot of money to the viewers, to the TV station, to the advertisers, to the players.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, I really can't help. I really can't stop myself to share this story. Of course,
Absolutely.
Money is big in the sports, and I always talk about it, right? Talk about Cristiano Ronaldo's this upcoming, what so-called is a contract offer, which he signs or not, that remains to be seen, $210 million, right? Cristiano Ronaldo's home team is Portugal,
Yep.
and they are scheduled to play on Sunday. All right, so that is going to be interesting game. That's a Morocco versus Portugal. What's going to happen? Let's see what happens. So this, I'm talking quarterfinal.
Okay.
In the Super 16, which was concluded a couple of days ago, Cristiano Ronaldo was benched.
Wow, right.
He was
That's amazing.
not in the starting lineup, and the player who replaced him, I think Juan something, right, scored a couple of goals and played fantastic. Now it remains to be seen if Cristiano Ronaldo will appear in the starting lineup on a Sunday. Sunday, that's the December 10th. When they meet, No, Sunday, December 11th, against the Portugal. Portugal versus Morocco. Let's see what happens. All right, now let's see what's going to be good or not. But Fed Chairman Powell is hinting that he might raise interest rate one more time this year.
Well, the news is it may not be as high of an increase that we initially expected, 0.75% if you remember. Currently, the prime rate is 7%. The new increase could be as low as 0.25%, maybe of the tune of 0.5%. If it's 0.5%, then January increase may not happen. So the way Mr. Powell is looking at it, that we are not out of weed yet, even though he has seen some positive news, but the increase is mandatory. It may not be 0.75. So we'll have a small increase before the end of the year. In January, we may not need another increase if we have 0.5 or 0.75% increase in December. But the point here is, even though we are not having large increase, that does not mean that the things are positive. I mean, when the prime rate is 7% plus, 7% or 7.25%, it's extremely high. So we expect the mortgage rates, the credit card rates, the loan rates to remain high in the next foreseeable future, next 6 months to a year. So if you are planning a large purchase, just be aware of it. Try to save the cash. Do not spend unless you really need it, unless you absolutely have to have it. Just try to control the wannabe expenses as opposed to have the expenses, in our opinion.
Interesting. Listen, even though you said it's not going to be high increase, but increase is an increase.
Increase is an increase, absolutely.
And it really sends a negative effect everywhere, from stock market to bond market to mortgage rates and everything. Mortgage rates are slowly coming down after hitting 20-year high. They're coming down very, very slowly, but it's still not a good rate. And obviously, now listen, psychological factor works very strong in a buyer's or in a borrower's mind. And that's where they are stepping, they're staying away from purchasing any house. And that's what's affecting real estate market also.
Absolutely.
Moving on to the next story, talk about U.S. government debt ceiling is going to be near, That's happening.
Debt ceiling means how much money the U.S. government can borrow in total, the whole country. And right now, that debt ceiling is $31.381 trillion. And the good thing is, Congress has already borrowed that much money. And you wonder, government is making so much money, government has so much taxes, then why do they need to borrow the money? So just for your estimation, our government is spending over $6 trillion per year just on COVID-related expenses for the country.
$6 trillion.
$6 trillion, Sanjeevji. So the COVID vaccine is free for everybody.
Yes.
Somebody has to pay for it. Yes. Somebody is paying for it. Absolutely. All the research that's happening, all the PPP loan, all the EIDL loan. PPP loan were all forgiven twice. EIDL loan is 3.75%. Somebody has to pay for all this money that's being pumped into the economy. And that's what the US government is doing. So probably in the near future, in next 1 to 3 months, Congress will have to probably increase the debt ceiling again from $31.381 trillion to probably $32 trillion or something more than that.
That's right. Increase the debt ceiling limit, and printing press is next door to Capitol House. All you got to do is just let them know.
No, it's not about printing press. It's how much money they can borrow.
I know that.
From the foreign countries, from the local domestic companies.
I know. But when they need it, printing press is right there. They can just place an order and have the money printed. Can it get any better than this? But anyway, in all sincerity, this is not a very, very encouraging news.
Yes,
but listen, what can you do when AJ says $6 trillion only for the COVID reason? You can imagine that how badly COVID has hit the world economy.
Absolutely.
Let alone US, the world economy.
Absolutely.
It's really damaging. Anyway,
thank God we live in a country where the government cares about the citizen, where you can get the COVID vaccine free, where you can get the COVID vaccine without getting in a line, where it's available in any pharmacy, in any store.
Good point.
So we still are blessed to be here.
Yes, absolutely. All right, talk about money and the problem with the money. Well, this gentleman always stays in the news. If not for himself, it's always about one of his companies. And I'm talking about Donald Trump, who has announced that he's running for 2024 presidential run. Let's see what happens. And now one of his companies, a real estate company, is in big trouble. And New York Attorney General Letitia James is really after that. She wants to fine this Trump's real estate company hundreds of millions of dollars, and she wants to ban this company for doing any future business.
Well, that's true. So the penalty currently, the way it looks, is going to be around $150 million, $160 million only. And truth be told, for Trump organization, the real estate company, it's not a large amount. But it's more than the amount. The problem is Trump was advised to disclose his tax returns.
Yes.
To the committee. That's one setback for Trump. The second setback, just within 3 weeks of putting his name out as president for the next year's election, within 3 weeks we have a news that one of his organization is on 17 counts convicted of tax fraud. And the good thing is it's not directly related to Trump. The CFO of the company has taken the blame that it was his decision. Mr. Trump did not knew about it.
Alan Weisberg.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
the point here is how could you have the owner not know about the CFO has a free home, free car, and a lot of benefits that were not taxed. So again, on all the 17 counts, Trump organization has found guilty of tax fraud. Mr. Trump had to release the tax returns. So all is not going in favor of Mr. Trump even after releasing his name, after nominating himself for the presidency next year, next election.
Now listen, how badly this is going to hurt Donald Trump, for their campaign, that remains to be seen, AJ. But I always wonder, whenever I read this kind of story about Trump or any one of his companies and stuff like that. For example, before I go into, a part of this story also was that his penthouse was overvalued, some $327 million, right? His Mar-a-Lago, estate where he lives right now, it was overvalued by $660 million, AJ. So now my question, I always get this question in my head. Before Trump announced his, third time they run for presidency, don't you think that he knew about all this stuff? And wasn't he advised by his lawyers and the advisors that there could be some significant, lawsuits coming or something like that?
Actually, it's the other way around. All these advisors are advising him to overvalue the property. That's how he gets the money out. Let's say if you own something that's worth $1 million,
right?
How much loan can you take against this property? 500,000, 600,000, 700,000.
But if you value the property $20 million.
Exactly.
So
now you can take loan of $14 million against this
yeah.
property. That's not even worth $14 million.
Yes.
In the worst case scenario, you file the bankruptcy. After using the money, you give the property back to the bank. So this is a fraud. This is how the fraud comes across, and this is how they twist the arm to value the property higher than what it is.
Okay, so that's the news. Anyway, we'll see what happens, and as you know, that we'll definitely give you update as we go along. But it's time for us to take a short break right now. When we come back, we'll get more interesting business stories for you, so please stay with us. Welcome back to the second half of the Business Talk with AJ right here on ITV Gold. This is the weekly show where we bring you latest that you need to know from the world of business. In case if you have just found us right now, we'd like to welcome you as our viewer. And this is a show where we bring you all the latest that you need to know, courtesy of Sai CPA Services, a complete accounting firm. They can help you with the bookkeeping services, payroll services. They can also advise you right before the end of the tax season where to invest your money so that way you can save on taxes. Remember, it's a saving on taxes, but at the same time, they also advise you to do taxes the right way, and they are known for it. They have clients all over the country. They are located in the state of New Jersey with multiple locations, and you can reach them by calling them 908-380-6876. You can also go in person and have a meeting with them. Their experienced staff of CPAs are ready to help you out. You can also set up a Zoom call. But my sincere suggestion is that before the end of this year or before the end of this month, do reach out to them to see where you can invest money in order to save taxes. You should always look into the saving taxes, but at the same time do your taxes right. And that's exactly what Mr. AJ Kumar always says, right?
Absolutely, Sanjeevji. So it's very important before the year end to look at your situation. See what you can do now before the year end to make a difference in your tax liability. We have lot of clients coming to our office in March, April and saying, what can I do to save taxes? And I politely tell them it's too late for the last year. So if you want to have a situation where you can invest into 401k, where you can defer some income, where you can put some more expenses, buy some equipment, not deposit some cash, not deposit some checks, this is the time of the year where the planning has to happen. So as Sanjeevji mentioned, look at your tax situation, find a good accountant. If you don't have an accountant, call us and we'll be happy to help you and put you in the right direction.
All right, you can visit their website, scicpsservices.com. AJ, it's time to talk about currency rates.
Absolutely, Sanjeevji. So currency rate this week was about 82.5, 82.4. We expect the currency rate in next 30 days to go down to 81.4, 81.5, about 1 rupee down. But in next 90 days, we are still expecting the currency rate to be going high to as much as 84.5, but it's not going to touch 85, or not, we are not expecting it to touch 85, and then it will start coming down and it will cool down to around 82 in the long run.
Okay, that would be good. That would be very, very, very good. But thank you for the latest update. Now, viewers, in our show, the Business Talk with AJ, we occasionally we try to get an expert who comes from a completely different business scenario, being a business person or been in a business for many years, and we like to have them in our show to listen to their views on the economy, on the business and what's happening. And we're so fortunate and we are very honored to have right now Miss Jenny Moorjani with us. Jenny Moorjani is a self-made business person, entrepreneur, and she's into construction and e-commerce business. I'd like to welcome Jenny. Good to see you, Jenny. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Alrighty.
I'm happy to be here and welcome viewers. I'm in many businesses since 1982, and I've been traveled many countries from Indonesia to India to America. And right now, at the moment, I have two businesses, which is one is Renuka Builders, which is in construction. I do A to Z construction, ground up, and I have an e-commerce business, which is galleryofhomedecor.com. You can shop online. But we're looking at the economy right now, which high interest, foreclosures going on, people going through hard time, recession things going on. So right now, the market is really slow. Usually Christmas time shopping, it's a holiday season, shopping spree, the best holiday seasons. And usually I have orders lined up every day, tens of orders. But because looking at the economy, it's
so
no jobs.
when you say it's a slow, meaning let's talk about your construction business. Construction business related to real estate right now, and the real estate market is very, very slow because of high interest rates and whatnot. So one of your companies, one of your businesses is to do house renovation, everything from ground up.
Constructions.
Is that business really slow? Nobody's thinking about doing it?
Yes, it is, because people are not spending money with the recession going on.
Isn't
Jobs.
it slow anyway in December, January and February? Is the business slower during this time of the year anyway, or is it slower this year especially?
Only this year. I mean, I was doing very well till June, July, August. I was really, really busy. Even till October, September, even I worked with Ajay and his house, and I had jobs lined up. But now, everywhere I go, I give an estimate, people say, oh, it's too expensive, I can't afford it. My budget is this small. I mean, with material so high, right now material prices are crazy.
Yes.
Where you used to go sheetrock for $8, now it's $12, $15 each.
Yep.
And even the material is not even available.
And the labor.
Oh,
you can't find the people.
The labor, we have a problem now in Jersey. A lot of Spanish guys, which are handy people, handy guys that you usually work with them, they are hired in New York. Every single guy I work with, they are getting hired from New York. New York companies are coming, picking up kids from the labor from Jersey, taking them to New York and giving them jobs. So we are having problems having labor workers.
This has become a huge problem, getting a labor and everything else. But now, let's see if you can tell us. This is from the residential point of view. In a commercial market, in commercial real estate, what have you seen? There are a lot of stores closing and whatnot.
They are, like right now, Willowbrook Mall is closing. That's permanently closing. Like many retail stores are closing. Even the retail. If you go Macy's, many of the Macy's laying off the people, a lot of employees. So people are losing jobs, and you see the robberies happening everywhere.
Yes.
You see the break-ins happening.
Yes.
I mean, people are really panicking, scared. Even they are scared to buy jewelry no more because they see Indian people buying jewelry. Their houses are getting robbed.
Listen, there's no denying the fact that times are really, really tough, very, very, very tough, and we all have to be very careful. Not only around us, not only that we have to watch our shoulders, but at the same time, what business you are in or what job that you have, whatever it is, you just need to hold on to it and hope for the best. And let's hope the good days come soon. Now let's move on to the next story. Jenny, thank you for that information. We'll definitely have you part of the show as we continue to bring in other stories. This is about COVID, and China is really taking some aggressive steps.
Well, China was. Now China is taking a step back now and is moving away from the zero tolerance
I meant
policy.
to say aggressive steps.
Absolutely.
In order to ease out COVID restrictions.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%. So now China was being criticized not outside the country but within the country also. The population, Chinese population, was against the government because Chinese government was putting everybody who was exposed to anybody who had COVID. If you are be near to that patient, you're not allowed to go out. You have to have the mask. So this was a zero tolerance policy. Now that the policy has been removed or has been eased on, now people can go out. If you have been in contact or around a COVID patient, you don't have to wear mask. You can still go out in public. So that's to bring the economy back. Correct. And that's to bring the confidence mainly back in the Chinese population.
All right, so that is news from China, and as COVID is still hitting us hard one or the other way, obviously that continues. In the year 2022, which is going to be ending very soon, two countries been in the news, but one country mainly a lot, and I'm talking about Russia and Ukraine, because of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. That is still going on. It's almost now a year old, and that is still going on. But Time magazine, one of the most reputable publications in the world, they usually name Person of the Year every year. This is their tradition, goes back to 50 years plus. And surprisingly, AJ, they have named
Mr. Zelensky.
Yes.
So that's amazing if you think about it. And it's not just the fame. You think about the consequences of this news. Mr. Zelensky has been made Person of the Year for the Times magazine. If you remember, just about 15 years ago, about 2007 or something, it was the Russian president who was the Person of the Year for the same magazine.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Zelensky was offered money. Mr. Zelensky was requested to leave the country before the invasion.
Yes.
But he decided not to leave the country. He decided to fight. He decided to stand with the public, with the population over there. And that's what's making him Person of the Year. It takes a lot of guts. If you remember, there are a lot of countries where the president, where the prime minister will run away after the tenure.
Yes.
They will take money and they will not come back. They will find asylum in a European country or in America somewhere. But think about Mr. Zelensky, who was not even a politician.
I was just going to say that, it is very surprising and I think very fitting also that Time magazine has named Ukraine President Zelensky as a Person of the Year along with Spirit of Ukraine.
Absolutely.
So what they did is, obviously they are giving citizens of Ukraine a credit also for their resilience and for their continuous, being courageous against Russian forces and everything. All these months, AJ, it's not easy to stand still.
Absolutely.
So they have highlighted Ukrainian President Zelensky as well as the spirit of Ukrainians. Now, Zelensky was a comedian by profession. He was a comedian, but he decided to get into the politics to fix the system. And he has shown courage. He's a very, very fearless leader. He was offered hundreds of millions of dollars to leave the country, because what happens in the normal world, whenever one country invades another country, usually the country which is being invaded, the leader of the country is offered some money to leave the country because it's the head of the country and it's out of respect. Zelensky said, no, I am not going to leave till the last Ukrainian is alive here. So I'm not going to leave, and that's why he's named the person of the year, and it's a very well fitting. All right, now India could be the country of the year or country of the decade. Let's see what happens. But this is interesting news. India on track of $100 billion in remittances.
That's amazing. No country ever has reached to $100 billion in remittance. So thanks to all of you, the NRIs from America, from England, from Europe, who are sending money back home to India. India in 2022 will be receiving $100 billion in remittance.
This Asia's third largest economy is getting bigger and bigger and
Absolutely,
bigger.
no doubt.
And remarkably resilient and better prepared. That's what World Bank said when they revised India's economic growth to 6.9%. Jenny, that's going to be interesting. 6.9%.
If you remember, initially it was supposed to be 6.7%.
Yes.
Then the World Bank reduced it, and there was a lot of hype. India is not doing well, 6.5 only. The people forgot 6.5 is still much better than anything else in the world that you see. So reducing from 6.7 to 6.5 made a lot of analysts panicking about India. Now the same World Bank has increased the growth rate from 6.5 to 6.9, which is 0.2% higher than the original growth rate.
That's right. And then let's see what happens. Quickly, we're going to move on. A couple of interesting stories. We're going to wrap it up quickly. India is set to export mobile phones worth $9 billion in 2023.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're going to export this smartphone.
That's amazing. And the news becomes more important when you think about that Apple is moving the China production facility to India.
Yep.
Yes.
So India will be producing the iPhone, the Samsung phone, and all this production will be happening from India for whole world.
Jenny, what do you think of that?
I'm happy about it. I'm really happy. Even India increased the interest rate.
Yes.
It was 6.5, now it's 7.5.
Correct.
And even they are giving more benefits to senior citizens.
Correct.
Which is, my mom is senior, so it's good for them.
The top heads of the country, they are doing something right. And the future is looking really, really good, except that, they're having some internal issues, but hopefully it will be okay. Talk about internal issues and talk about Indian cricket team. What a sad loss against Bangladesh. They lost 2 one-days back to back. That was heartbreaking. I just couldn't take it.
As it is,
exactly. We lost badly in Asia Cup. Then we really performed bad in T20 World Cup. And Bangladesh against, we lost 2 one-day games as we go into the taping. There's a third one. I don't know what's going to happen. Rohit Sharma played very well in the second one day, even though he was injured.
I think it was too late. He came in the last. I mean, if he had come a little earlier, it could have been
But he was
different.
injured. But he still scored 51 runs.
But it's heartbreaking. I agree with you. I mean, losing 2 one-days from Bangladesh after losing the T20 World Cup and the Asia Cup, crying out loud, we have to fix
it's time to bring in new players, and I just want BCCI know that in case if you're looking for a player, AJ is one of them. He's available. He can definitely be part of that. All right, but you just got to contact him in the off text season. Other than that, he's busy. With that, excuse me. With that note, we come to the end of the business talk with AJ right here on ITV Gold. Jenny, thank you so very much for being here.
Thank you.
We really enjoyed having you, and appreciate your inputs and valuable information that you shared with us.
Thank you.
AJ, as always, thank you so very much. And I am Sanjeev Pandya, wishing you all happy and lucky days ahead. Continue to watch the Business Talk with AJ and the other shows on your favorite TV channel, ITV Gold. You take care of yourself. So long.